Hello, welcome to another episode of Weird Origins with Andu and Omari. Hi, I am Anduin. Today we are tracing the word heathen. And the interesting thing is that the word seems to have traveled through multiple systems of meaning before it became the insult people recognize now. The earliest Germanic form is usually reconstructed as Proto-Germanic hyenas, and in Old English it appears as hyen. Scholars commonly connect it with Old English heath, meaning heath, which suggests an original sense like a heath dweller, a person from open, uncultivated land, or someone outside the settled community. That origin matters because it shows the word may have started as a kind of spatial label before it became a moral one. In other words, the word may have begun by describing where someone belonged, then shifted to describing whether they belonged at all. By the time the word appears in early English Christian writing, it is already being used for non-Christians, especially people outside the faith. And that use gives it a strong boundary-making function. It says not just you are different, but you are outside the system. That is why the word can sound harsh, even when it is used casually today. It carries an old social logic inside it. In medieval and early modern history, that logic continued to widen. Christian writers used heathen for pagans, foreign peoples, and later colonized peoples. They wanted to place below themselves in a moral hierarchy. In American history, the word could be used as part of missionary language, racial sorting, and cultural judgment, which made it flexible enough to travel across contexts while keeping the same basic structure, an inside group naming an outside group. That is the irony. A word that now often sounds old-fashioned or humorous once did. Real work in defining belonging. Then the comic side enters. On Sanford and Son, Aunt Esther's repeated line, "You old heathen," turns the word into a running joke. It works because the word already feels antique, stern, and a little theatrical. So the insult lands with exaggerated force and becomes funny. The joke is that the word sounds like a formal condemnation, but in sitcom form it becomes affectionate verbal warfare. So the full story is this. A likely heath dweller becomes a religious outsider, then a cultural outsider, then a comic label that people still recognize instantly. That is why heathen is memorable, and that is why it keeps surviving after the original worldview behind it has mostly faded.
Thank you for joining me. Until next time.